In the summer of 2003, strange events occurred in the northeastern United States. Human-like creatures caught the attention of the local media before a power outage was held. So little information remained that several online or written accounts of the creature were lost or deleted. Primarily focused on rural New York and also heard in Idaho, witnesses have come forward to share their testimonies with the unknown creature. The emotions that arise from trauma range from fear and discomfort to curiosity. Although their stories are not recorded or written down, the memory of them cannot be forgotten. Some of the people involved began searching for answers about the creature that year. In early 2006, they obtained about 24 documents dating between the 12th century and the present day, spanning 4 continents. In each case, the story is nearly the same. I've contacted the members of this member, and can get some excerpts from their book. A Suicide Note, 1964. For a moment I prepared myself to take my life. I feel the need to relieve any guilt or pain I did in this action. It's no one's fault but his. The first time I woke up and felt his presence. And when I woke up, I saw her figure. Then again, I woke up and heard his voice, and saw his eyes. I couldn't sleep, terrified of what might happen the next time I woke up. I can't get up anymore. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box were 2 empty envelopes sent to William and Rose, and a personal letter without the envelope. Dear Linny, I pray for you. He spoke your name. A journal entry, translate from Spanish 1880. I have experienced terrible terror. I have experienced the worst terror. I have experienced the worst terror. I saw her eyes when I closed my eyes. His eyes are blank. Deep black. Looked at me and seemed to stab me. His hands were wet with blood. I'm not going to sleep. His voice. Unintelligible writing. A Mariner's Log, 1691. He came in my sleep. From the stiffness of my bed I feel a sensation. He took everything. We must return to England. We shouldn't be here anymore at the Rake's behest. From a witness, 2006. 3 years ago, I just returned from vacation from Niagara Falls with my family on the 4th of July. We were very exhausted after a long day of traveling. So my husband and I put the kids to bed and get some rest. Around 4 o'clock, I woke up and thought that my husband had gone to the toilet. I took this opportunity to take back the blanket, and it turns out I woke him who was sleeping next to me. I apologized to him and told him I thought he had gone to the toilet. Then he turns to face me and bends his legs so fast from the bedside towards me that I almost fall off the bed. He then hugged me and said nothing. After adjusting to the darkness, I could see what was causing the reaction in my husband's feet. At the foot of the bed, something sat and looked at us, appearing to be a naked creature, or perhaps a large hairless dog. Her body position was very disturbing and unnatural. Like being hit by a car or something. At this point I felt that we should help him. My husband watched his hands and feet, bent into odd positions, occasionally glancing at me and then looking at the creature again. In a confused state, the creature crawled around the side of the bed, and then quickly jumped on top of my husband. The creature was silent for about 30 minutes, or maybe 5 minutes, because it seemed like a while, and just looked at my husband. The creature then put its hand on my husband's knee and then ran out of the room, towards the children's room. I screamed and ran to turn on the light, hoping to stop him before he hurt the kids. When I was in the hallway, the light from our room was enough to see him crouching and bending about 10 meters. He turned and looked directly at me, covered in blood. I pressed the switch on the wall to turn on the light and saw my daughter Clara. The creature ran down the stairs while my husband and I ran to help our daughter. He was seriously injured and spoke only once in his short life. He said he is the Rake. My husband drives. His car drove through the lake that night, rushing our daughter to the hospital. However, My daughter is not safe. Due to the small town, news traveled fast. The police were very helpful at the time, and the local newspapers became interested. Even so, our story was never printed or broadcast on television. Within a few months, my son Justin and I were living in a hotel near my parents' house. After deciding to go home, I started looking for answers myself. I accidentally found someone in the next town with the same story. We contacted each other and started talking about our experiences. He knew about 2 other people in New York who had also seen the creature we call the Rake. It ended up causing the 4 of us to spend 2 arduous years searching for information on the internet and written letters which we later believed to be the Rake story. None of which explains in detail its history or continuation. One journal had an entry about the creature on the first 3 pages, and didn't mention it again. The ship's logs didn't say anything, it just said they had to leave the Rake behind. It was the last entry on record. There are many stories where the creature appears in several series of stories on the same person. Some people are also mentioned, my daughter is also mentioned. This made us think that the Rake had caught up with us all before it last appeared. I put the recorder near my bed and let it record all night, every night, for 2 weeks. I watch with boredom the sound of me rolling in bed every day. By the end of week 2, I was used to hearing occasional noises while falling asleep and listening to recordings at 8x the normal speed. This still happens almost every hour every day. On the first day of week 3, I thought I heard something else. All I heard was a squeaky sound. That is the Rake. I couldn't hear it long enough to begin to decipher it. I haven't shown it to anyone yet. All I know is I've heard him before, and I believe he said something while in front of my husband. I can't remember hearing anything at the time, but the audio recording brings me back to that moment. Thinking that I lost my daughter makes me very sad. I haven't seen the Rake since he ruined my life, but I know he was in the room while I slept. I know and fear that one night I will wake up to find him looking at me.